Hey everybody, what's up? It's Tipping the Scales, Shea Dawson here.
Woo, welcome. It's Tyneeha. How you guys doing?
Hey T, how was your day today?
What's up? Good. I woke up, did a good workout. It's beautiful outside, and after we're done recording today, I'm gonna go do about 25 miles on my bike outside. So I'm really excited about it.
Really? Dang. That sounds amazing. Actually, I need to work out too. I have not started a workout routine, but I plan on getting on one soon now that I'm settled and at home. As you guys can see, I'm in my living room.
Welcome back to ATL.
Yeah, ATL, shouty.
You're starting already. Oh my God.
I know, already. So what are we going to talk to the good people about today? What do we have on our...
Today is a really good topic. It's about love and success, which is sometimes difficult to get. But before we go there, I have to start off by saying, happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to us.
Happy birthday to Shea and T. It's our birthday.
Tipping the scales.
It's our birthday. It's our birthday.
Libra.
So what are you doing for Wednesday for your birthday? For our birthday? Could you believe? I can't believe both of our birthdays on October 6th. That's crazy.
It's insane. Well, I went out actually the other night to a little bar. It was pretty cool. I think I'm partied out with my friends from work.
Okay. Shout out to Shay's friends.
I think I'm just partied out, or just I'm tired from the summer because it was like the pandemic. You were climbing out of it, but trying to work as well. So, so it definitely was one of those things where I was just like, let me party early, and that way I don't have to worry about it on the day of. On the day of, I could just accept text messages and cupcakes and stuff like that. So,
okay.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, I really relaxed this weekend. On my birthday, I'm working, of course, but I think my parents said they were going to come down to Maryland to take me out to dinner on my birthday, which is nice. And then I'll probably do something fun for the weekend. I'm just not sure yet, but I don't know. I feel like a good night for me. Look, I'm so boring. It's like a glass of wine and some Netflix. I'm good.
Okay. Have you watched that show, Squid Games?
No.
Okay, you might want to check that one out. That is pretty crazy. It's a Korean movie, a Korean like thriller horror. Suspenseful movie.
Okay,
So you should check that out. Yeah, definitely.
All right. So love, huh? What do you have to say about that?
Man.
Any tunes come to your mind when you hear the word?
Oh yeah. A little bit of music.
Give me a little line. Let me hear you.
So many people come and tell you that I'm afraid I don't know how.
'Cause there's a possibility that you look at me differently, love.
Girl, what? Okay.
I love that song.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about love, success, sports. How does it all intertwine? I feel like when you're a woman in charge, or you're a woman that's just always on the go, love is something that is very difficult to focus in on.
I agree.
Right? Sure. It's something hard to catch and grasp and really understand how it all is supposed to fit in your life. So what are your experiences with...
Oh God, why do you want to start with me? I mean, I was hoping that we would start with you since you're engaged and all.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
This hand. Look, I don't even know which hand.
My nails aren't done, but they're never done. But on the day I got engaged, they were done, which is a surprise.
Look, I can tell you that for me, it's definitely challenging. I was engaged, but unfortunately that situation didn't work out. But I will say it's getting harder. Like, honestly, I feel a little nervous that I'm in my 40s and I'm still not married. I feel like there's this stigma, like whenever I see people who maybe I went to school with, everyone's married. And, it was funny because I took my parents to Jamaica for my mom's birthday, and random, just see people while you're away. Saw some guy that I was in college with, and he came up to me, picked up my hand, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for you. You never got married." It's like, well, damn. That's what you got to say to a sister if you haven't seen her in so many years. But look, I think it's challenging. I think there's a lot of people who would say that they are successful but not have found love, and it's just a place that I'm at right now. I don't love it, but I'm in it.
Right. So being like, we already talked about you being in the C-suite, like being in the C-suite, how do you make time to run a business? Maybe
that's why I'm single.
No, but let's talk about it. Let's break it down. What is a day-to-day like, when you're working and then when you're off and now it's time for your personal life? Like, how do you fit all of that? Like for people that are out there who need to focus and be intentional about it, like what are some of the things that you feel like you could have done differently?
Oh, well, if you're going to ask me what I could have done differently, what's up with you with all these loaded questions today? Goodness.
I mean, this is what we're doing, unpacking things for other people.
Yes, and we do want to be authentic. So listen, I think if I could do it all over again, I was really trying to balance. I wanted my son to be successful. I wanted to be successful. So it was a really slippery slope because I was pouring all of my time into him. Like, there's practice, there's all these things that I wanted him to do so I can set him up for success. And then at the same time, I was trying to climb the corporate ladder as well. So it was definitely very difficult. And I put probably not enough time into relationships because I was more hyper-focused on me and hyper-focused on him. So if I could do it all over again, I probably would just have spent more time trying to pour into the person that I was with.
Got you. And for those of you who are just new to our show and haven't listened to episode 1, and if you haven't, you already should go do that. But Tyneeha's son is Mikal Bridges. He's on the Suns, Phoenix Suns. And as
What's
you all
up,
know,
kid?
What up, kid? And as you know, the life of an elite athlete before they become pros is very, very demanding.
Yeah.
And being a single mom, T, I'm sure that a lot of people don't know that like it requires a lot of time. It requires a lot of time commitment on Mikal's part, but also on your part.
Yeah.
So I understand it's really hard to say like what you could have done different, but I do think it's important to just unpack like what that looks like. And the person that I'm sure you're with has to understand that comes first. So, and I think that's sometimes the hard thing, right?
Well, no, I forgot who I heard this from, but I know I got into a debate, I think with one of my colleagues, and I forgot which show he was watching, but he was saying that, women love their sons too much. And I was like, what?
Single women.
That's what he was saying. He's like, I'm sure. He was like, even when you talk about time off, you talk about going, to spend time with your son, going to Phoenix, going to games. I'm like, well, because my son, my only child, is so far away. So when I do plan time off, yes, I do want to go fly all the way to the West Coast so I can see my kid.
Right.
But he was saying that he's like, that's the problem, T. That's why he's married. So he wants to give me all the advice. I feel like married people always think they have all the answers. Shout out to all the married folks. I'm not coming at you. But the people who I know, I feel like
you're right. You're right.
They all want to give me advice.
They want to share.
For sure. But he was saying like, that's your problem. Like you spend so much time thinking about your son and what you're doing with him, and single moms like are married to their sons. And I walked away highly offended by that conversation. Highly offended. I was kind of like, man. I was like,
I know, but we have to be real. The way it's set up as a single mom, your son has been with you through the hardest times. So
for sure.
For some reason, you have that attachment to your son and his success being a single mom because your son knows what you went through. And your son also has that attachment to you. When they make it, they feel like they got to give you everything back because they
at least he has a boo. Shout out to Granger.
Hey, Granger. I love me some G. I love me some G.
So he's done it all, but they met in college, right? But for me, I just think I don't want to be that person where I'm 100 years old, I'm alone, and I think about how can I be different,
and you won't. Look,
I got some legit funny stories from dating websites that I will never do again. It scared the crap out of me. Oh, I got good ones. To the point where I was like, I'm never doing it again.
Okay, wait, let's get one. We got to get one in here because I need to know what this was like.
Oh, so this is the last one.
Okay.
I tried like twice, right? And I showed up to the date. I was a little late. I'm gonna be honest. I was probably like, I don't know, 15 minutes late. And old boy was at the bar already. I was like, all right. He's like, meet me out the bar. We were doing outside because, I'm all...
Meet me at the bar.
I don't really want to eat indoors because of COVID and all that. So this was, oh my God, many months ago, and met old boy outside. Now, when I walked up to the table, he was coming from the inside, from the bar. He appeared to have, like, I could tell he had a couple of drinks. He was feeling something. And I legit could smell it. I was like, damn, how many drinks did he have already?
He was nervous?
I mean, I was like 15 minutes late, but still. So we sat down. He started talking about his ex-wife. And I was like, oh God, not one of these.
Oh God.
How she was taking all his money. And he had just bought his daughter a bike. He's just like venting.
Oh.
He legit, Shay, he legit started banging on the table, like started crying. I was like, this is crazy. So I shouldn't have done this, but I literally was just like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I like grabbed my little jacket and I walked and I like legit.
You ghosted homeboy?
Yeah, I did. Because it was too much. Like, he was crying. And I was already like, dude, like enough about your ex-wife already. But then he started crying and started talking and banging on the table. Like, I don't have time for that. So that was like a crazy story. And I'm kind of done with that. But I don't find, if he doesn't fall from the sky or my porch or whatever, I am not going on any type of online dating again. It's just,
maybe your boo listening right now. You never know. You know what I'm saying? We opening up the universe, so who knows?
But no, so listen, I feel like you are on the opposite side of it because I call you like the love doctor, right? You've been writing things about love since our Sixers days.
Yes.
And you love. But no, on a serious note, you found your person. And I think that's amazing. And I do think love is beautiful if you find the right person. So how did that happen? Where did you guys meet? How did you connect? Share.
All right. So my relationship with love started with started with
you remind me of that movie. What was it?
What movie?
The two basketball players that were playing basketball.
Love and Basketball?
Yeah, my favorite.
Okay,
my love story. Oh God! But
I'm not talking about romantic love right now. I'm talking about my relationship with love in general.
Okay.
Right?
Break it down.
I'm going to break it down for you. Let me break it down.
Let me sit back. Let me get a sip of water.
Okay. So my relationship with love started with a broken heart, actually. My father was not in my life, but he's in my life now. Awesome. He went through a lot of things in his life. My grandparents, his parents passed away. And when I was younger. Yeah. And he never recovered from that. So he had some hard times. So he was not in my life, but I never understood why. I was just really angry about that. Yeah. So I was always looking for love in places that I shouldn't have been looking for love because I didn't know what it looked like, right? But I knew that I loved my mom very much, and I knew I loved my brother Malcolm very much. And I loved my family in general, but those two, because like I said, when you're a single mom, like you go through it with your mom. Like a single mom, like you know what she's going through. So you try to make her life easier. And you literally take on those burdens as a child of your parent. So I just couldn't understand how someone could create a child. And everyone else was always like, Shay, we love you. Want to come to our house? I always went to other people's houses and I always had other father figures, but I never had love from my dad at a young age. And so I started to read a lot about that. What happens to parents when they're not in your life? What happens to kids when they don't have a father? And I started to realize I suffered from what they call daddy issues at the time, which made me understand a lot of mistakes that I had made in trying to find someone that I wanted to spend time with or be with. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So from that, I started to be more intentional about my output. So I started to love harder so that no one would ever feel like I didn't give them what they needed or they didn't know that I didn't love them. So everyone jokes who meets my family.
Wow, you are speaking some goodness, girl.
My relationship with love is very deep. So what I would start to do is like, I would tell my mom I love her all the time. If she would get in the car, if she would go in the restaurant, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I want my mom or my brother to know, like, the last thing I said to them was I love them, because you hear stories about people who I wish I could have said that.
Absolutely.
So that's how I started with my love journey. So anyway.
Love that.
So I just started doing that. And then let's fast forward all the way to 2020. 2012 is when I met my fiance, Nafis Ricks.
Hey, Nafis.
Hey, boo. I had just broken up with my boyfriend that night, the night before. So I go in, I work Pangos All-American Camp. I'm in the gym. I got on a nice little outfit. I got on like a little button down. I got on some leggings. I got on my Gucci bag with my Gucci shoes. You know, I just want to let people know, like, I'm not one to be played with.
Okay.
You know? And so the dude walks in, he got a black hat on with like white letters, kind of similar to what I got on now.
Looking like a whole joy.
Shout out to Own Your Own Stripes. But yeah, so, and I tapped my friend. I was like, oh my God. I was like, look at him. She was like, Shay, she was like, Shay, that's your type. I was like, oh my God, so fine. So later on, I was shooting at the side court, you know, I was side eyeing. He was shooting on the side court too, but he was trying to like kind of push up. And I was like, I don't even know what I want to do. Like, I just broke up with my boyfriend. Who knows if it's permanent? But I was just like, you know, trying to let him know I see him.
But listen, he got your attention. And I think that's the start.
He did. Yeah, then, so we don't even exchange numbers. We don't say hi. We don't talk to each other. I seen him the next
But wait
day.
a minute. Wait. You don't have to. You know what you did. I feel like when you meet someone and you guys are feeling each other, you lock eyes. That's the start of something special. So you might have not exchanged numbers, but
we locked side eyes for sure.
You locked. You like, okay. All right.
And it's crazy that you can look at somebody and they think the same thing about you, but you don't even talk about it.
I know.
So why did I see this man the next day at the gym at the Drew League in LA?
Was you looking real cute again?
I was not. I was not, but it's cool because he had saw me the previous day, so now he just got to see.
He know what you look turned up. So
exactly. He saw me at
why do I feel like guys are when you meet people, it's not when you like dialed up. It's like your hair is in a ponytail, you got some sweatpants on and a t-shirt. I feel like those are the moments when you meet people more so than you're trying to get extra.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I stopped doing that. We'll get into that, but I stopped dressing up and then, but anyway.
All right. So the next day, you guys see each other again at the gym, and then what?
So the next day we see each other at the Drew League. My brother's playing in the Drew League. His friend is playing in the Drew League. Yeah. And I see him. He sees me. I'm with my mentee. My mentee is going to UCLA at the time. She's from Philly. And she grew up on his same block.
Hey, Philly in the house. What's
Philly
up,
in the house, West Philly. So my girl Markel Walker, she goes to UCLA at the time. She goes, yo, that's my boy Feast right there. I was like, oh my God, that's the boy from the gym yesterday. So then she, says hi or whatever. I'm kind of talking to him, but not really. And then later on, she ends up giving him my number and then vice versa. So we started texting from there. And then that was 2012. We don't talk again until 2015.
No.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
So I'll let you go and then, we could dive back into it. But yeah.
Oh, I don't want to go.
Okay. I'll finish.
So 3 years go, three whole years go by.
Yeah. So I do a little research. Well, I'm asking Markel about him. I'm talking to him and I'm like, what's up with him? Like, how is he as a person? She's like, oh, he's good. He plays basketball overseas. Like, he's real good back in Philly, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, cool. I've always dated athletic men. I won't say athletes because everybody thinks when you say athletes, it's an NBA player. I've dated NBA players, but that's not where it's at.
I didn't know that either.
I know. I don't like to tell people sometimes, but we being real on here. We being authentic. So
we being real.
But that's not where it's at. And so
what? Not that we don't have anything against NBA players. We love you. My baby's NBA.
Of course, my babies too, but good. I wouldn't want to date any of them. No, no. Their whole life is distorted. Like they live in a reality that is not on this earth, and I don't want to live in that reality because it's just not sustainable. But anyway.
Okay.
But anyway,
you got that long pause, like. All right.
I mean, it is okay. I will say it's fun, but fun isn't. You can't have fun every day. Like some things are serious. Like I need you to take the trash out. I need you to make sure you come get me from the airport on time. Like I just need you to not put me as a third, fourth priority. I understand being second to basketball.
Yeah.
But dating an NBA player is like. I can do what I want to do when I want to do it, but that doesn't work for me because I'm a human being. And if you say you're going to do something, I want you to do it. I don't want to have to always ask you or text you or, you know, like, and then you feel like someone's mom, and then it's just too much. And then you obviously know there is no shortage of girls or women around. And I'm not an insecure person, but, and I'm also a sporty girl, you know what I mean? So I don't really try to compete and do all the extra stuff that most ladies have to do or want to do when they're trying to court an NBA player. But I just want somebody who understands my lifestyle, which is I'm always in the gym. So I need a man who's secure, when I'm around
other a lot of men.
I was
literally going to say that was an issue too when I was working in sports, and you know, I was introduced to someone. They would say, "Oh, you're single and you work in sports." It's like, first of all, like even in my job today, like I'm head of HR, so there's this thing called sphere of influence where I have a sphere of influence over people's jobs and their careers and their salaries and promotions and things like that. So I can't ever date anyone that I work with. Like that's just a rule for me. And I don't want to go, I mean, I may be sitting in front of you like, I'm sorry, today's your last day. But on a serious note, it's like, it's not okay for me to date people that I work with. So, but that always came up when I was in sports. Like you're around men all the time. Like,
So dating one of us is not for the insecure. And exactly. So I didn't want to date someone who's insecure. And I felt like when I didn't date a lot of NBA players. I dated 2. But the ones that I felt like they couldn't really understand.
Stay tuned. Follow Tip and the Scales for more dirt with Shea and her NBA player.
Yeah, crazy.
I want to dig into that. That's a whole nother show. But.
I mean, I don't. And now that I think about it, I think, why does the world make a big deal? But anyway, I just think, and I won't say, but I think that it's a world of like, you can't trust people. That's really where the insecurity comes from. It's like, why does this person want me or whatever? It's like, and I'm just not trying to go through all that, right? So I just had made a decision to like not date and just work on myself. And so I went through this year of yes in 2015. And my year of yes was where I would say yes to anything that, like if someone invited me to an event or someone invited me on a date or someone, I had to say yes. And so in this particular time, I was saying yes to all of the work opportunities, but I was also saying yes to dating. And I went on a lot of dates, which was really cool because I usually am always like, he too short. And I stopped doing that. I stopped saying, Shea, you're blocking your blessing by trying to manufacture a man that doesn't exist, because God knows what he wants for you. And I think a lot of people do that. A lot of women do that, especially successful women who are, have great salaries and also, great titles.
So what are you trying to say about me? Just what are you saying?
I'm just saying that
I'm kind of feeling like you're kind of talking to me a little bit.
I'm just talking for anybody who's in their head.
But do you know when you start feeling guilty? Because I was raised a Christian and woman of my faith, but you ever sit in, you're sitting in church and you feel like, that the message is not just for you.
Right.
It's for the whole congregation. Right. But when you start seeing things, you're like, I don't think that's for me. It's your own, it's you. But
So I'm just talking to anybody who's in their head about this kind of stuff. Like I used to say, I don't want him to have a kid. I just had all these unrealistic expectations. For men, but for Black men. Like let's understand the community. If you're trying to date within your community, it's really difficult to find a Black man with all of these stipulations. Like life is very difficult. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's just no way you're going to be able to find the dream guy that we see because of media, because of movies, because of external pressure. So I stopped doing that and I stayed open. And
I agree about not having this list. Yeah. It's unrealistic. Like
you can have a list.
You have listen, that doesn't mean that you can't have standards, because standards are important. You just want to bring home anyone, right?
Right.
You have to have standards, but to have this list of all these things that he must be 6 feet, blah, 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 blah.
Exactly.
Like, you gotta, at the end of the day, you want a good person.
Absolutely.
That you are compatible with, but you can't have this laundry list of these things that it's going to be impossible. It's like you're looking for a unicorn.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that it's really hard for us to get out of our own way sometimes. But that's why we have to have conversations like this, right? To like say like Shea and T are have been through that or have done that. You know what I mean? And I think when I stopped doing that, Nafis came back into my life in terms of, well, he always was there and texting and stuff, but he had a kid. And I was like, there's no way I can date a man with a kid. Like, that's just out of the question.
Yeah.
And when
now look at you, like you love
And
her.
when I went through my year of yes, I had to say yes. He said, I'm going to be in town. Can I please take you on a date? And I said, shoot. Yes. And when I said yes, we went on that date. And he kissed me, he grabbed me and kissed me. Like passionately. And
oh, wow.
Yeah,
this is the first date?
It's not the first date. I mean, it's the first date of us.
No, we're not judging you, boo. If you kissed on the first date, who cares?
I mean,
we're all adults here.
I'm no prude. But I'm just saying.
So if you kissed on the first date, own that. Like, it's okay. No judgment.
But I just want to give context. Like, we seen each other before. We texted like for a long time, for years. But it was the first date for us. And when he did that, he grabbed me like, and I just thought, he's the one. And I didn't say it out loud, but I just held it inside. I just held it inside.
Yeah.
And he basically, I won't say he came and got me. He came and got me. He never, ever, 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 ever stopped just being around. Like, he never tried to talk to me in the beginning. He just was always like, what are you doing? How are you? Like, I'm overseas. I kind of don't want to play basketball anymore. And that's how he got me. Because, everyone knows that I love athlete development. So when he said, I don't want to play basketball anymore, I don't want to play professional ball, I was like,
what's next? How can I help you?
I was like, exactly.
I know.
And so that's how he reeled me in. And,
nice.
We're here in 2021 and we're engaged.
So how many years total has it been?
It's going to be 6 years. 6 years together.
And you're engaged.
And I'm engaged. Yeah.
That's
to be married.
exciting.
And I have a beautiful bonus child, Zoe Ricks. Shout out to Zoe.
Hey, Z.
And I never thought I wanted a man with a child, but I mean, you can't get much better than Zoe. So I'm like, I think you have to keep your heart open, see the situation first, right? Meet the child, like understand what the dynamic looks like before you just say you don't want this or you don't want that.
Okay. I love it. I wish I had that. But look, I think that realistically, the challenge and maybe some women out there can relate is, where am I going to meet people? I think that's the challenge that I'm having right now. I told you, like, I'm done. Online dating is scary. Mm-hmm. And I'm good. And some people are not who they say they are. Mm-hmm. So I'm over that. But I think what's really challenging is, like, where am I finding people? I work a lot of hours. And then when I'm not working, I'm trying to go to Mikkel's games and do things like that. And I don't know where I'm going to meet someone. I think that's the challenge is, where do you find this person? Most of my time is at work. And I already told you my rule about dating and working. So
yeah. And I think, I told my mom this. I said, this dude they're not going to break into your house and come get you. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
you got to go out there. But
you got to put yourself
then
out there.
COVID happened too, right? Like, so
exactly.
How do you really find, it's not like you're going out. I mean, you could go out sometimes, but I'm a little nervous just about hanging out people with their mask off and stuff. So, I'm a little germaphobe. Everyone knows that about me. So.
Okay, well, you scaring off men's too, okay? You scaring off germs.
Meet me outside. Stand back.
What I would say to you is that, like, you already do this. So you just have to continue to do the way you smile, like you just exude.
Wah, wah. Nobody cares about a smile.
Yes, men do. What are you talking about?
It doesn't stop there. Like, I feel like,
no,
I don't know. I just think, yes, you see people. How do you continue to put yourself in a situation? I mean, and the other thing too, like you started off by saying that you dated a couple of NBA players that wasn't your lane. I can't. Like, I don't ever want to date someone in my son's circle. So I never dated like his coaches or anyone. I don't want anyone to ever be like, yeah, I smashed Mikkel's mom. Like, that is not okay for me.
You're right.
And okay for my brand, okay for my son. Like, I don't want that stigma on him or me. Right. So yeah, you ain't gonna be out there like, yeah, I hit your mama. Nah.
I hear you.
So that takes out a whole nother lane that I'm in, that I spend time in, because I don't want to date anyone that's in my circles with my kid.
Right. But I also think too, you have to flirt a little bit too. So if you do see, and
I'm so awkward.
New age women feel like a man is supposed to just come pounce on you, and that's just not the way it is. So if you do see someone that you like when you're out there, obviously you're surveying where he's at, who he is, because you have to be strategic about who you're dating, because you don't want to date in the circle of your son's world, or even at work. So you do have to kind of find those sub communities or subcultures where you could find someone.
Yeah.
And you have to flirt a little bit, T.
I know I'm bad. I'm not a good flirt. I was
like
walking a dog the other day. We were running.
Okay.
And I went for a run, and God, he was really nice looking. I was crossing the street in a crosswalk, and he was like, I'll stop for you or something. He said that, and I was like, put my head down and walked. I'm like, then I was walking. I was like, what is wrong with me?
Right.
That was a connection, and he looked good. But I don't know. I'm not a good flirt.
Because you got to get to that point where you're saying, if you feel like you're hesitant.
What was I supposed to say back when he said, "Oh, I'll stop for you. Go ahead. I like to walk."
You engaged, and you said, "Well, what you mean by that?"
Oh, see. Mm-hmm. I need you with me when I.
You gotta reel them in. You gotta elaborate, like your dad said. You threw that hook out, but you didn't reel it in. But
truth and facts.
Yeah. I think that's what so this is a bad example because this man gets so much flack, but he also has such a huge following, Kevin Samuels. Have you heard of Kevin Samuels?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so he is definitely, obviously you have to watch all of his content to really understand, but so many women out here are like, how do I get me a high earning man? And a high earning man is someone who makes 6 figures or more or whatever. And a lot of successful women call into the show and ask, what they're doing. And he rates them, he asks them how they rate themselves, and he'll correct or he'll agree depending on what the woman looks like. But the common theme is like being realistic about your situation, right? Like sometimes high earning men aren't the ones you should be going after, because sometimes high earning men haven't done the work properly because they've had everything given to them because of the money they make. And we know how the world, treats men who make a lot of money.
Yeah. But you brought up that's a good point though. Yeah. That I think it's worth spending some time there when you say high earning men, because what happens, I'm a high earning woman. I make high 6 figures myself.
Yeah.
So it is tricky because people will say, oh, what are you looking for? I feel like I hate when people ask me that.
I know. It's just so annoying. Stupid question.
Go ahead. Like, what are you looking for? And how much money does this person have to make? It's like, why are we starting?
Don't go there first. Exactly.
I know. But at the same time, the whole purpose, we said on our show, when we do our episodes and we're talking, we're going to be authentic. We're going to be transparent, because that's what we're all about on tipping the scales. So I will say, I don't want to marry someone or be with someone that I have to take care of. Not happening. You have to be successful and accomplished in your own right. I worked really hard to get to where I'm at. So you got to come to the table with some stuff of your own.
Right.
So I will say that, because people always, that seems to, to be a topic of discussion too. Maybe you should date down, or all types of stuff I hear. But what's your thought on it? Do you think that
it's cringy?
You got to look, you have to have expectations like we talked about before. And I don't, I think that's a topic too, that comes up too. Would you date someone who makes less money than you?
Yeah. And I think that it depends on the person's life plan, because just because they make less money when you meet them doesn't mean they're always going to make less money.
That's right.
So you have to look at the foundation of who this person is.
Yeah.
And you have to look at their goals and what they're doing to get to their goals. If they're doing all the things it takes, you got to realize, before, we weren't always high earners. We weren't always like that.
Yeah.
So we had to look at the steps. Someone had to take a chance on us. So it depends on the individual. If the individual has everything, the foundational stuff, they're always attentive. You can always reach them. They always want to show you love and affection and support you, but they're on a good path, and you've got to open yourself up to that and see where it goes. Because again, if you don't have to continue with that person, and if it's a person that you feel like is worth it, you can have that conversation that it's just not going in the direction I thought it was. But you're blocking your blessing and you're blocking out a whole group of men. And people do this all the time. And I'm not saying you, I'm saying a lot of people.
Oh, I know.
Because they don't make a certain amount of money. But my thing is too, like, all you have to do is invest in a man too as well. If you see that they're investing in themselves, next thing you know, that man gonna be making more money than a lot of people that you know.
That's right.
When you can be with a man through that, there's nothing that person wouldn't do for you. So
I agree. I think it's too, is like what you said is like, kind of, when you look at their journey, like where they're going, what they're doing right now. I think the challenge for me is like, I'm in my mid 40s. So if let's say I'm dating someone 45 to 50, if you don't know what the hell you're doing by now, I mean, you can definitely restart, and people start new business ventures all the time, and they may do something different, but who T was 20 years ago was very much different than who I am today. So I do think that you need to have a solid foundation on where you are going and what you're doing, because you're in your mid 40s. It's not for me, I mean, there's people, shout out all to the people who are on new paths and kind of at this point of rediscovery, because that's great. But at the same time, I think for me and what I'm looking for is someone that kind of knows where they're headed and they're on that path to wherever it is they're going.
Yeah. And you also have to look at entrepreneurs. Sometimes entrepreneurs don't.
I love a good entrepreneur.
Yeah. So sometimes
it's hard. I have a lot of respect for entrepreneurs. Yeah.
But sometimes you and your energy, your vibe can add to someone else. So you could start a business with someone who you feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to really find different avenues to understand, like, okay, this man he's on his stuff. Maybe his business is not a multi-billion-dollar business or $1 million business, but it's a great small business.
Exactly.
And you and your HR experience, or me with my athlete development and you can become a power couple, and you can work your way towards the goals that you guys both have. And I think that's where I'm at in my life, and also where my man is at. It's like he has all these ideas. I mean, we talk about his ideas every day. We talk about my ideas.
I love that.
He gives me pointers, and we're constantly, and I can see the progression. And that's how I've been able to find love, but also continue to build it with him, is because sometimes you're not going to get a ready-made man. You're going to get a man who wants to do all this stuff, but doesn't have, either the support at home. And sometimes that's the thing too, where you have all these things weighing you down.
Yeah.
Where you just need to come in and be like, that kind of addition. And it's worked wonders for me. And I can see my man doing amazing things in 2 to 3 years. I mean, he's already doing amazing things in the mental health space.
And the sky's the limit.
And the sky's the limit, and he wants to be a clinical psychologist, and he's working towards his PhD and things like that now.
I love that.
But that's not a man who's already on a platter, just like earning right out of the gate, but he does well for himself. But at the same time, I can't worry about that. But the foundation is so solid. Yeah. And how he loves me is what I love. So I'm like, let's do this, boo.
Yeah. Wait, I have a good question for you. Yeah. This comes up too all the time, because I do believe that I have a bit of a mouth. I talk too much sometimes. And, I've been told that I could be too opinionated. How do you feel about that with women? Do you feel like, and it like legit pisses me off. Like, my brother and I, hey bud, love you. We get into some serious debates, because he's like, it's a place for a woman and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yo, you better watch your mouth, boy.
Right.
But I do think that other men feel that way too. Yeah. And he's like, sometimes you just have to like know your role. And that lights a fire in my soul when we get to arguing about that. But I'm just curious, do you think there's a woman's place? And if you're too opinionated, is that a roadblock?
So I think I'm learning.
That's a good one. That's a great one.
And my wheels are turning. I think it's a clash of two worlds. I think it's the old world and how it used to be, and the role of a man, a role of a woman. And then the new world, where there's a role of a man, role of a woman, but there's women and women, there's men and men. Like, it's a role of the world is changing. Yeah. And it's really hard for people who were in the old world to adapt to women. And I also think Black women are finding their voice. And it's a hard balance to say, I'm not going to put up with those things that I, saw my mom put up with or saw my aunt put up with. Because there's a lot of women in my family who are unmarried because they chose not to put up with half, I don't even know what you call it, half input, half whatever into the relationship. And so that happens to Black women a lot too, is that we are opinionated and we do care so much and we are powerful and sometimes we have to overcompensate in terms of what we say because we feel like people don't hear us a lot or we feel like, it's either angry Black women or nothing. And it's like sometimes we just have an opinion because we've seen things or we care a lot and we just don't want you to get hurt. So I think what your brother is saying is correct. And I think we're also correct. We just have,
oh gosh, please don't say that. He loves being right. This is going to be, don't make us argue for another 15 hours.
So your argument will go in a different direction because I do think there's a healthy balance. And I always tell Nafis that I do want to be submissive. I find myself a new age woman where I feel like I got to do it. Sometimes if he doesn't jump when I say jump, I do it myself. But I don't think that's the right answer. But I think that's just...
No, it's not.
It's kind of ingrained in me. And I don't want to do that. I do want to let him handle some things. And I've gotten better over this last year of just being like, he says he got it. And just communicating my standards on what it means when he says I got it, what I'm thinking and what I want. So I do want to be submissive in terms of I do want him to have his, I want him to feel like a man. I want him to feel like I don't always have to do everything because I want it to be balanced. I do want a good harmony in my relationship.
Yeah.
So I do think we have to realize when we're saying too much or doing too much or being too aggressive in a moment where our man might need something different. And I think that's the struggle. And I think that's what Kevin Samuels be trying to tell Black women, but he just don't do it in a way that's he believes in gender roles, right? And so some people can have a relationship with gender roles and that's cool. Some people can have a relationship with, they don't believe in gender roles and that's cool too. So you just have to find what works for you. And I think that's where, your argument is right, where I'm not too opinionated. I'm opinionated because that's me. And if I see something that I don't like or I see something that makes me uncomfortable, I'm going to say something.
I think too, the challenges, I am very assertive. I had to be that way to get to where I'm at today. So I think at times I have to just be quiet and listen. But a lot of it is centered around respect too. So I think in terms of things that I have to work on and be better at, it's okay, I have to make sure just in order for me to be successful in my job, I have to be a great listener. It's the same thing in a relationship. It's just that expectation that one must have in order for it to work. But I think at the same time, if I had to really fact check myself and say T, you need to fall back a little bit, let him lead. I was dating someone earlier in the year and I didn't even get into it, but I was definitely offended. We were riding somewhere in a car and he was like, you're not going to lead. I'm leading, not you. I'm going to lead this relationship, not you.
And did you fight?
No, I didn't say anything.
Okay.
I just listened. I didn't love it. I didn't like their feedback. I'm like,
right.
But I listened. And I do think that is part of, look, we all got things we need to work on. Right. And I think for me personally, it's I have to let a man lead and learn how to be more submissive because I think that's hard.
Yeah. And I think
at times,
and submissive gets a negative rap, but you're not saying, oh, bow down, lead me. You're not doing that.
That ain't happening.
That ain't happening. That ain't happening with me. It ain't happening with you.
Exactly.
But it's more of just my man is saying that he wants to be out in front to do, these things. And you say, you know what? Go ahead, boo. I support you. I got you because I feel like Nafis supports me so much. Sometimes I just got to be in the back, chilling, with, a black tea, chill, in the back. I don't need to always be oh, I'm here. No. I can let him lead. And I think that's okay. So when you hear us say submissive, we're not saying bow down. We're just saying that we see our men and we see where they want to go and what they want to do.
And let them lead.
And let them lead. Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Okay. So here's the next question then, because this is where I think I'm in this trap is, do you, because you're the love doctor and all.
I mean, I'll take that title. I really do a lot of work.
So Dr. Love, do you believe that the more successful you are as a woman, the harder it is to find a man?
I absolutely do.
Why is that? Curious, because that's where I'm at, and I'll get to that in a moment, but why do you feel that way?
I feel that way because, not because of you, but because of other people. Sometimes your success makes other people reflect on them and what they haven't done. And they, in turn, can't give you what you need. So it's very hard to find the people who have done the deep work. You know, I always talk about deep work, who've done the deep work to be with someone. So that the security part of who they are. So you need to be with someone who's secure in who they are. Yeah. Because their security will make you feel secure as a successful woman. You don't even need to worry about that other stuff because security is attractive. Confidence is attractive. And a lot of people can't exude that if they really don't feel that inside. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So successful women, you already are confident. You already understand because you've broken through so many different barriers and broken glass ceilings to get to where you got to that you have no choice but to be confident. So if you're in that 1% as a woman, think about the rest of the world and what they've had to do or still trying to break down the door. And then there's people who are also opportunistic. So it's hard to tell who's really genuinely for you.
Yeah, that's hard.
Right? It's super hard. And then I would say for you, like, I'll ask you a question back. It's like, as a woman, do you see a lot of men flagging you down as a successful woman when you're dolled up, when you're dressed up, you've got your YSL beautiful red heels on and your Louis bag and all this stuff? Do you see how it's nonverbal communication, but do you see men being like, oh, I want to talk to her because she has everything? Like, do you see that?
No, I don't know if they want to, that's tricky. Like, because you never know, right? It is harder too, because you have people who are attracted to like that NBA lifestyle. Yeah. So they may know like who my son is, and maybe they have their own hidden agenda, or we talk about being opportunistic, or they may like they're trying to get on, or whatever it is. That is a layer of something that you have to be mindful of. I'm pretty good at kind of, I have a really good intuition, so I can tell when someone's just in it for the wrong reasons, and that I'm not going to waste my time. But I do think that some people may misunderstand like who I am and what I'm looking for by maybe how you're dressed, like you said, or whatever it is. Like they think you're looking for more, or
it's the nonverbal that they're judging you already.
Yeah, it's funny because some guy mentioned to me, we were just talking like a couple of weeks ago. He was saying, T, you're still single? And I hate that too. It's like, that pisses me off. But he was like, probably because he's like, and I never said anything like this remotely out of my mouth to him.
I can guess what you're about to say.
He was like, probably because you're waiting for someone rich to show up on your door. It's like, you're looking for a rich guy. It's like, what the? I'm watching my mouth because my mom watched our podcast and she will listen to this. So I'm going to keep it clean. Right. But it's like, what's up? Like, I've never said that. That's not my expectation. So don't assume that because of what you think I want. I've never said that, but I do. I wonder, like, if other people would think that too. Like, but that legit pissed me off. Like, don't make assumptions about me.
I like that. I like that. And that's very transparent because I think that's the nonverbal stuff that I'm talking about is people's insecurity make them say things like that to you. Yeah. Because if it was a man who...
Because I'm not interested in you, boo. Okay?
Okay?
Don't hate.
But really, it's like a secure man would never say anything like that.
Yeah.
They would never say anything like that. But it goes back to the other people and the world who have to do the work and what we hold to be value. Like, just because you see me with these nice things, that has nothing to do with what I want in my personal life. Those are things that I've worked hard for and I have rewarded myself for. Because otherwise,
100%.
Right?
100%.
And so I think that people need to stop doing that. And that's what we're going to say here is like, stop judging people from what you see. Have a conversation first. I think that's a problem we have in the world, just in general with everything.
Get to know someone from who they are, not based on what you assume them to be. 100%.
Right. I agree. And then the second part to what you said about a successful woman is you have this layer of protection as well.
Yeah,
because you've worked so hard to get to where you are that we sometimes don't want to take the wrong step and get knocked off our path or get unfocused because we're entertaining something that is someone that's not focused. or someone that is going in a different direction. And I think that's hard too. It's hard to determine when that is. When is this person for me? But I think, like I was telling you before, it's like, just stay open, say yes. When you feel like when you feel like
Dr. Love, I'm listening.
Say yes. Okay. Survey the person's life. I mean, obviously, if someone's crying and banging on the table, you were right to exit stage.
I'm done.
Gots to go.
Close that profile down immediately.
Right. But you have to flirt some more.
Yeah.
When it's called for, when you see, and then also you put it out there now so people know. But sometimes we don't say, like you say, it's hard for us to put ourselves out there. So sometimes people don't know we're even looking. Like even when like I was working at Overtime, when I took the job at Overtime, a couple of my friends hit me up and was like, "What? I would have hired you." And I go,
"Damn,
what do you mean? How would I have known that you would have hired me?" And I realized like I didn't say I was on the market for a new job. They didn't know.
Yeah.
So it's more of like letting people know. It's like, and also when I was getting my job at the Sixers, I was intentional about who they said, "What do you want to do?" "I want to work in the NBA." "What do you want to do?" "I want to work in the NBA." Right? Putting it out there in the universe. Like I was listening to Deepak Chopra the other day on Oprah on her Super Soul sessions or conversations. And he was talking about how everything is connected. So if you know better, you do better. If you know everything's connected, why would you keep things inside? Why would you not tell people what you really want? I know it's scary to say what you really want. But we all have to start putting it out there in the universe and stop protecting things and let the universe conspire with us for our greater good.
I love that. I also, too, think that it almost like when you said put yourself out there, there's almost a little piece of like vulnerability. And it's really hard for people to be vulnerable. I can say that it's like this, almost like this shield. And I am guilty of that myself. Like allowing myself to be vulnerable is very hard. But I do think it's something that you need to do, just part of your journey and part of your path. But it's something that's very hard. And, when I asked you the question about, is it facts? Like, do you honestly believe that the more successful you are, does it get harder? And I do too. And I think it's because of that stigma that people just assume that you're looking for a certain type of person, or they may think, like you said, that they don't even know that you are available. So it's just this, look, it's hard out here in these streets.
Yeah.
Girl.
And you got to do more work. Once you reach a certain threshold, you got to do more work. Same thing with NBA players when they're dating. And I'm saying this because we work with athletes, your son. You have to do your work on the person that you're bringing into your life, meaning like you have to constantly communicate, talk about the things you want, the things you need, where you're at in your life, the emotions that you have, the things that make you do what you do now, like your past traumas or your past experiences. You constantly got to, you got to protect yourself, but you also got to do the work, the deep work. And I think
the deep work, that's not easy.
The deep work, it's not easy.
It's a challenge.
But having great relationships like the one we have and with other people and constantly talking about it and getting audits of your life. Like you always tell me some certain things too. And I'll be like, okay, let me switch up.
You gotta listen.
You gotta listen.
But you do listen. I think that's why you are successful all the way around. And for me, it was funny because when I was getting dressed, I was saying to myself, like, I knew we were going to be talking about love and success. And it's not my favorite thing to talk about, honestly, because I'm very competitive. And I feel like it's either a win-lose situation. And not everything is about winning and losing. That's a whole nother episode. But I will say that when I look at my life, I think, yes, I'm successful in many ways. Like I was able to get through being a young mom and ensure that my son was successful. I'm successful. And I have all these things that I want, but I do think that I have failed in terms of relationship-wise because it doesn't feel special if you don't have, I'm getting a house built here in Maryland where I work. And, it's fun. Like you get to choose everything. You're building kind of like what you want from the ground up and it's exciting. But at the same time, I had, as I'm walking away and, you're taking a picture of me with my little plot in the dirt and I'm smiling, like taking a picture. But at the same time, I was so filled with emotion. Like I was trying not to cry because at the same time, like, yeah, this is all exciting. Yeah, I did this myself. Hell no, my son ain't buy this house for me. I did this for me because a lot of things I want, like, it's about my success. So although I was very proud of what is happening in that moment, at the same time, like, I was fighting back tears of sadness because I would have loved, like, I'm in this beautiful development, all these beautiful houses, and I see people walking out the door and their families. And as I'm thinking about, like, oh, this is great that I'm able to do this by myself. At the same time, it didn't feel as special because I was doing it alone.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're going to change that because your boo's listening right now. And please, boo, you have to go through me first.
We have so many tests for you. Like, I don't know.
Yes. Lots. So please don't mind DM. Okay, Overtime Shea or the Shea Dawson Experience, depending on, or Lovers Live Here. Those are all mine.
Yeah, send me to your love page. I like
and that. Let me know what's up because I know T's out here and she's phenomenal. Okay, and yeah, so T, I love that. That was so transparent of you, and this is a safe space to do that. And I think that people, like I said, people are gonna listen to it. They're gonna cry. They're gonna relate. They're gonna laugh. And I think that's beautiful. And I think we're close. We can close in on that because it's about being vulnerable. It's about putting yourself out there, conspiring with the universe for your greatest good, right? Like letting the universe know what you want so that it can help you get it.
Not being afraid either.
Not being afraid.
Because you got to kind of break down that wall. So let yourself go, and that's hard to do. It's so much easier said than done. But I do think that it's part of what we have to do on that path to success.
Yeah. And when I talk about deep work, doing deep work is reading. Like when I used to get my heart broken, I would go and Google and I would literally type out exactly what happened to me or exactly what I was feeling. And there'd be a million people online with the same, thing. But I also reflected on my past and why I was doing things or making certain decisions or putting up with things. And you really can start to reverse that if you just take your time, be intentional, and say yes and let the universe conspire with you.
I love that. Be intentional. All right.
So T, let them know. Where can we find?
Well, make sure first and foremost, you're following Tipping the Scales wherever you get your podcast. It's super important. We want you on our path. There's so much more that we have to unpack. And look, Shea and I could talk for hours, but we realize that at some point we got to cut it off. But stay tuned. I think we have so many important things to talk about. We have some amazing guests that are coming on to Tipping the Scales.
Can't wait.
Hey. So make sure you follow Tipping the Scales wherever you get your podcast. It's important.
Love everybody. See you again next week.
See ya.
Bye. We got you, boo.